All right, hi everyone. Welcome to the ServeManager webinar this afternoon. I'm Trent Carlisle, co-founder of Logical, the company behind ServeNow and ServeManager. This is the Pro Series webinar on ServerPay. I'm here with our development team, whom I'll introduce in a moment. Summarized real quickly, the ServerPay feature allows you to track payables to in-house and contract servers. Over the course of 2018, our development team has been working hard on this feature and a number of others that we'll talk about today. If this is your first Pro Series webinar, I'll give you the high-level agenda. We'll start with introductions, announcements, and some reminders. We'll cover some smaller but significant features that we've released. Then we'll go into the ServerPay demo. On this slide, as I mentioned, I'm Trent. With me today are Jeremy Church, Nathan Bennis, Chad Jolly, Carlos Gochez. This is the development team behind ServeManager, and these guys have been with us for an average of over 7 years, so they know our business, the product, and your business pretty well. Also with us today is Justin Jeffries. He's our newest team member, and he manages support and will be walking us through the ServerPay demo today. And if you're wondering where Jose is, a lot of you have talked to him in the past. He is on a bit of a sabbatical, and he's taking a web development program, and he'll be returning to the company as a programmer on the ServeManager team later this year. So we are pretty excited about that. Along the way, you'll be able to, you'll have an opportunity to ask questions about ServerPay and the other new features. And at the end, we'll stay on and you can pretty much ask us any questions after the ServerPay demo about any of the features related to ServeManager. So anything goes there. Next slide. As a reminder, ServeManager is part of Zapier. Many of you have connected to the Zapier platform. ServeManager, Zapier is a platform that allows over 1,000 different apps to connect, providing you with automations, at least in the ServeManager automations, like automatically uploading documents from Dropbox, Drive, and other cloud storage apps. You can post job due dates to calendars. You can automate your list building and email marketing tools like MailChimp, Constant Contact, and others. It's really endless. If you can think it up, there's probably an automation you can create in Zapier. And next slide. We even use Zapier to manage the web forms we've built for a number of our customers. These forms can be linked off of your site. With these forms, customers can submit their job, which creates a job in ServeManager. They can prepay for service using our Stripe integration, and it will even create the company in ServeManager for you if it's a new customer. These forms are great for pro ses or out-of-state law firm clients, people that you haven't worked with in the past, and it allows you to get prepaid upfront without having to do any of the job data entry yourself. So contact us if you want one of these forms on your site. Speaking of Stripe, on the next slide here, I want to remind everyone of our Stripe integration. Our Stripe connected customers are saving a ton of time. They're getting paid faster. Customers can pay both invoices and statements with a credit card. And with Stripe, you don't need a merchant account, and you resolve any PCI compliance issues by having a Stripe account. So Stripe becomes essentially your secure vault for all of your customer payment data. Contact us to learn more about that. As a reminder as well, some of you have asked us about our a referral program. We do have one. If you send a friend or a colleague our way, we'll give you a $25 credit towards your account if they end up subscribing, and we'll also give them a $25 credit as well. We built a page for this. The URL is a little bit long, so if you just go to servemanager.com/blog and type in the word refer, that's the first blog post that comes up, and that helps you automate the referral process to any of your friends or colleagues. So we're going to get into some of the features that we're going to cover today in regards to server pay, Justin is going to talk about how you turn this feature, on or off, where to enter the server pay data, the different places that can be manipulated, changing the server on the job and how that impacts server pay, as well as tracking payments to servers. Before that, he's going to get into a couple other features that we've released in 2018. That includes advanced permissions, an update to email settings, and addresses linked off of the maps in ServeManager. So with that said, I'm going to hand it over to Justin for the demo.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for attending today. First, let's go over into my test account and let's show you a few ServeManager features. All right. So first, let's show our employee permissions. To view our employee permissions, first we'll select My Account and then the Employees tab. Here we can either select an employee that we've already have established and select Edit, and then view the permissions here. As you can see, we've broken down our permissions into several different topics. By selecting custom permissions, we're allowed to customize these certain permissions here. And if you'd like a description of them as well, we have a link down here providing you a brief description of all the permissions that we have listed here and that are now available for you. Now you can do this with established employees, and then you can also change and edit new employees as well by selecting new employee and going down and selecting custom permissions. Also, let's go over some of our new email options. So to go over that, we can select My Account and then Settings. And we can scroll down to our email notifications, and then right below that will be Auto Check Email Contacts. And here we can select whether or not what we would like to have checked on our email recipients for the following, whether it be service attempts, job notes, or affidavits. We could select whether we want the client contact or the process server or both to be automatically checked for the recipients of those options. And the last new feature I'd like to show you guys will be adding links to our addresses. So let me open up one of my dummy jobs here. Now before, these links were just static. Now we can actually go over to one of our links that we've entered in before in our addresses and then click on it, which will open up a Maps tab and showing us directly where that address is, making this a little bit more convenient for you and saving you a few more steps there. All right, so let's start with our server pay. It's a great new feature helping you track and record all of the payments that we have going on inside of your account to your servers or contractors. To get started, we'll select My Account and then Settings, and then we'll scroll down until we get to the server pay section. Now, if you have signed up within the past 1 or 2 weeks, this will be automatically checked for you. If you have an established account, then you'll need to go down here and you'll need to check this box to enable server pay. Right below that, we have an option to insert a default rate for new jobs. Here, we can just put in our rate for servers and contractors. And if we don't enter this rate for either in the server itself or in the job itself, this will be the default rate that it will go back to. So this will be the first place where we can set in our server pay information. We'll be right here in our settings screen. Next, if we would like to set our pay for individual employees or with contractors, first for employees, we could start by going into our Employees tab, selecting employee in question, then selecting Edit. Here we can input the rate for a specific employee. Now this rate that we put in here will override the rate that we put into our settings. For contractors, we could select companies, pick our contractor, select Edit, And then at the bottom of the screen, we're able to put our server pay in here. This works just similar to our employees, and this will also override the server pay that we enter in our settings. Lastly, the last spot where we can adjust or we can place in server pay will be inside the job itself. So we can open up a job. We can scroll down to the server pay section, or when we are creating a new job, we can select new job and scroll down to the process server, and we can apply the rate here. Now, applying the rate in the job will supersede all other rates that we enter in, whether it be in the settings or within the individual employee or contractor itself. So this will override all of those other rates that you have entered. So this will be the most important rate. To adjust or change payments, we could do so in the job itself. So we'll open up our jobs, and we'll be able to view right down here in our server pay section. And here we can update our payment, we can remove payment, and then if we'd like, we can also edit and add another server as well. Other things that we have going on, so let's say that you want to add a server using our mass assign feature. We'll be given the option to check whether or not we'd still like to pay the last server for these jobs. So we can check this if we'd like to pay that last server, or we can uncheck it if we don't want to pay that server. And then of course we can always go back into the job itself and edit any sort of rate that's listed there. We monitor all these payments right into our server pay tab. To get there, we can select server pay right here on the tab. And this takes us to our payables for our servers. So here's a list of all the jobs that we have server pays listed under, and the requisite server and the other information that is germane to this. We can look at our servers individually by selecting our process server tab, and this will take us directly into our servers. And here in our filter box, you can see it will automatically default to owed, but if we'd like to see the servers that we've paid in the past, we can select paid, or we can see all of our servers here as well. So I can select myself, and then out here we can see inside of this server pay screen the list of jobs that we've marked to be paid for this individual. We can use our checkboxes here and our pull down menu to mass apply payment on these jobs. When I select mass apply, we're given the option that we can select all of the jobs to pay on. We can apply a date using our pull down menu or our calendar. And we can also apply a description using our description box. When I select apply payment, you can see these jobs are now listed under paid. And I'll have all this information recorded right here. So if we ever need to edit a payment, we can select the job in question. We can scroll down to the server pay section, and we can select update here. And here we can remove the payment, and we can go back in and adjust from there. Also, what we have available is our export spreadsheet button. So here we can generate all of the information to export into a CSV file for you to edit in your either in Excel or whatever database editor that you use. All right.
Can I wrap it up?
Yep. Yep. And that is the gist of our server pay feature. Here is Trent.
Thanks, Justin. So we will stay on a little bit longer in the webinar. That was the summary of server pay. If there's elements that you want us to walk back through or you want clarification on anything, go ahead and use that questions section of the GoToWebinar panel. You can ask us about server pay. You can ask us about any of the other features that Justin covered earlier in the webinar. or just anything in general about the software. And we'll stay on for a few minutes. All right, so Justin, we do have a question. Can you adjust and set it up to where it pays only after it's been served? Does anyone want to, Justin or anyone want to take that one?
So currently at this time, we are not able to have it change the pay rates once a serve has been made. You're able to go back in and edit it yourself by selecting or going back and opening up the job and selecting update on the payment. But as far as it being automatically marked or automatically changing depending on the type of serve, that's functionality that we currently do not have.
Yeah, this is Jeremy here, just adding a bit more to that. So also, there is no automated process like that, like Justin mentioned, but you can use the filters. And so then you basically would find jobs that are served possibly within a date range, or maybe the service attempts are within a date range, and then you can mark those manually as paid.
There's another question. Can you set up rates for certain types of jobs? The example might be routine versus rush.
So once again, we don't automatically have that feature. You are able to edit this manually, and just like what Jeremy said, you're also able to use filters and go through to filter and then be able to go back in and apply the change in pays manually inside of those jobs themselves.
Keep the questions coming. If you have any others, like I said, we'll stay here as long as you guys have questions. Do know that we will be posting this webinar to the server pay blog post that you've all probably received a couple times at this point. So if you want to go back and reference that, you can check that out there. Okay. Anything you guys want to add? Or? No? Okay. I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up unless I see any other questions come through. Thanks for joining us today. Oh, hold on, got a couple. Jose said, I like that you manually input this. Thank you for this. It's a big plus. So he's following up.
Yeah, so I guess there was a sort of a follow-up to the question regarding rates for different types of service or jobs. Correct, there is no way to change or have multiple rates for different types of serves or whatnot. I would recommend under your settings, you put in a rate that makes sense for the majority of your jobs. That also goes for, say, a process server. Put in a rate that you typically pay them. And then when you're creating a job, if you know it's going to be a different type of job or rate, that's when you would go ahead and change it, is when you're inputting that job, or you can edit it later on the job as well.
Another one has come in. Looks like this is related to Stripe. Karen's question is, when I send out invoices to clients, how do I show the credit card payment button at the bottom of the invoice? I mean, I could answer that, Justin, but I'll let you go ahead and do that.
The Pay Now button will automatically be visible once you sign up with Stripe at the bottom of the invoice. It will also be listed in the email itself, allowing you to pay from there. They can even actually, while using Stripe, they can call you up and you are able to enter in the credit card information from the invoice screen as well.
Yeah, it's not on the PDF.
Oh, it's not on the PDF itself. It's actually on the bar above that says pay with card. Yeah, and once it's emailed via ServeManager, it will be visible to them for them to pay.
Can you show where in settings to go to enable Stripe?
Yes. So to enable Stripe, let's go over that real quick. We'll go over to our settings. We'll select My Account, select Settings, and then we'll scroll on down to Accept Online Payments, ServeManager Payments. We can select Manage here, and this will take us to our ServeManager payment screen. We'll just select Connect with Stripe. We'll fill in all of we'll begin and generate a Stripe application and put in all of our information here. Once we select Authorize Access to this account, it will automatically be connected to ServeManager, meaning that links to Pay Now with Card, and you'll be able to select, you'll be able to accept credit cards immediately once this account is set up over at Stripe.
Got a few other questions that I'm parsing through. So Nick is saying it looks like the pay rate is per job. If there are multiple addresses on the same job, do we need to manually go in and add pay for each address? Who wants to take that one? Justin.
So server pay is done by the job. So if there are multiple temps to different addresses, it will have to be manually added and manually changed. And currently, like I said, yeah, it's just done through the job, but you're able to select the update and update there. Or you can also, like what Jeremy mentioned earlier, use the attempts filter and filter down to see multiple attempts. And from there, you can select and manually edit the jobs in there.
Yeah, Nick just added he pays his guys per address. So yeah, that would be something that per Justin that you would have to kind of keep track of however you want to do that. Matthew has a question. Is there a way that the servers can access this pay information from their devices? He also says this is a beautiful piece of software. Thanks, Matthew. So can they access their devices?
Yes, they will be able to see this information, not on their devices, but on their desktop in their account, as long as that their information.
No, they don't have access. Their employees can't see any of the server pay.
But if it's selected on their permission.
If it's enabled on their permission. So that's the one.
Yeah. Yeah. So if it's enabled on their permissions for the employee, so like when we go back into our employee and then we show you our permissions, we actually have a custom permission for managing server pay right here. And if this is checked, then they'll be able to go in and view payments themselves.
Do we want to clarify that permission is they can view everybody's? Yeah. And it's not just see my own.
So this permission, the managed server pay, it's not a specific permission for themselves. It's actually a global permission, meaning that they'll be able to see all of the servers and all the different server pays, and that's how they'll be visible to them. Here's Jeremy.
Yeah, just to follow up to that, we did sort of talk internally and kicked around the idea of at some point allowing servers to see just their own information regarding their payables. So that is potentially something we will address at some point. But yeah, if you check that manage server pay permission, they're going to see payables for everyone. So make sure that is only checked for folks that you want managing server pay for all of your employees. Otherwise, keep that unchecked if you don't want them managing any of that.
Okay, it looks like there's a few suggestions rolling through, some related to server pay, some related to job searching, etc. Do know that if you have those suggestions, you could submit those at any time to help@servemanager.com. Justin is typically the person who parses through those and brings those to the development team. So we do look at those. And I mean, this is how we develop the software, is we pay attention to what you're asking for. So please send those to help@servemanager.com, or if you're talking to Justin or whoever on the ServeManager team, we will certainly add those to our list of things to discuss. Looks like there's a few more comments and questions I'm going to parse through. Yep, Nick says thanks for taking the time to put this together. Super happy with ServeManager. We needed this feature. You are welcome. Could they edit the payment on a job? I'm assuming that is, can the process server edit the payment on the job? I'm assuming that's giving a process server kind of deeper permissions than you would kind of your normal guy out in the field, but I'll let you answer that one, Justin.
So if they have their managed, the managed server pay checked, they're able to edit the payments in there.
Yeah, they can edit anything.
Yeah, if they have the managed server pay, they'll be able to edit and change any of that information themselves. So if you would not like them to be able to edit any of that information, then I would uncheck that box.
I just want to clarify, since we've had a few questions regarding can servers see this, can they edit it? In general, no. You're going to have to specifically give someone that permission unless they're an owner on the account. I don't believe admins have this permission. Yeah, so unless it's an owner on the account, they're not going to have access to this unless you specifically go in, edit their employee, and give them custom access to manage server pay. And we were just sort of chatting over here. That's probably not something you want to do for most of your servers, because that will give them access to server pay for everyone on your account, including contractors and employees. So really, that permission is only meant for folks that you want to be managing payroll, basically. Otherwise, if you don't check that, they're not going to be able to see what they're getting paid. They're not going to be able to see what anyone else is getting paid, and they're not going to be able to edit any of that either.
I would say the feature would be a read-only view of their own jobs.
Right. Yeah. At some point, you know, we do think we're, like Chad was just saying, we're kind of kicking around the idea that there would be probably a read-only version where a server could see what they were going to be paid for a job, or what they had already been paid for a job, and sort of look at that history, their pay stub, sort of, you know, in essence. But that does not exist at the moment.
Since you have the microphone, Jeremy, I'll just ask this one. Is this something that servers can use to invoice us as employees?
It's not an invoice. It's not something the server would use to invoice you because you're setting all of it up, but it does, I guess, work in that sense that it's keeping track of the payables that you owe for a server. But no, the employees don't invoice you per se. It's just something you're keeping track of, how much you owe your own employees. It's more of I guess, a payroll type feature in that sense. So.
Other side is using ServeManager. They can invoice you.
Yeah, and that goes for employees and contractors. If you're working with contractors, they have their own account, they can actually send you an invoice through ServeManager because you're their client, so they can invoice you just like you would be invoicing your own client. So, but that's kind of separate of the actual server pay feature.
Yeah, we're getting a handful of suggestions here. Again, please email those to help@servemanager.com. Some of these may just require some clarification on how some of these things work, but that is Justin's email address. That's the one that he monitors on a daily basis. So any questions, suggestions about this feature or others, please send them that way. There is another, I think we could just go back and show this again, Justin, but the question is how would we set up service through you if we already have a Stripe account set up? So I guess just go back to just go back to settings and connect that Stripe account in settings. Yeah, don't create a new Stripe account. Yeah. So if you just follow the prompts in the settings for Stripe, you'll be able to get that set up so it's connected to ServeManager, and then you'll have your pay with credit card button that shows up on your statement and your invoices.
There is a thing at the top that says already account signed in on this page.
Yeah, I would just reiterate to not make a duplicate account because that's going to get real confusing.
And do you have, is your demo account quote unquote Stripe connected, Justin?
This one is not.
Okay, yeah.
So he's showing it right now.
Yeah, I have it right here on the screen. I'm just.
Yeah, the way that it looks on an invoice is you just get a very, very simple pop-up that allows your customer to put in their credit card and all the details related to that payment. Super simple and clean.
I think we have a good screenshot of that on the blog as well.
Yeah, if you go to our blog and you search for Stripe, you will certainly see that. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, if any of your comments or questions for some reason did not get answered, again, help@servemanager.com is the place to go. I'm not seeing anything new coming through. So with that, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. And I want to thank everyone for being here today.